30 of the business side and 30 of the client side. Yeah.
So that's a long way back now. But how many people here have done a quantitative course out of interest? So you know about scales. It's the main issue that we want to know about. Okay, just give me a nod if you know about scales. Yeah. Right, okay. Okay. That's fine. That's all I need to know. I can help according to what I think you know. So, I mean, the point of the scale is the way you answer the question. Yeah. So here it is.
Yeah.
So, a nominal scale, male, female. Ordinal scale, a ranking. So, such a thing as different types of cars. Which one do you like the best? First, second, third, fourth. But notice the different types of cars is categorical. In other words, nominal scale. So the idea of the ordinal scale is that you take a nominal scale and then you give it an order of ranking from first down to the least. The next one is interval scale. Very, very important. Why? Because it measures the distance between. So this is the first of the true, what we would call metric scales. In other words, it's a measuring scale. I'm just making it up. I used to teach market research to undergrads. So the interval scale, it means that between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, there is a distance, there is a gap. Okay? So the question is just what is the nature of that gap?
So an example of that is age. You go, age 1 to 18, 18 to 25, 25 to 34, 35 to 44.
So you can make it consistent or you can make it inconsistent. All right?
And so you're looking at trouble if you don't make it even intervals. So you should really go age 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30. It screws up the mathematical properties if you make those intervals different lumps.
Exactly the point.
Yep.
So an interval scale, it has exact metrics. Yeah? So this one you can use to do regression. Okay? Whereas if you take a Likert scale, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going from agree to strongly disagree or the other way around, it doesn't make any difference actually which way you do it, but it's just a matter of we do it this way because. The Likert scale technically does not have the distance between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, although people might think it does. So because people might think it does, then people who are analysing it say it does, even though technically they shouldn't.
The most
there's argument.
misused thing is just plonking a Likert scale into a regression, but we all do it. Yeah.
And then the ratio scale, it's a very special one because it's got the property of the interval scale in it, but it has a 0. So there is an actual 0. So age is a ratio scale because you were born at 0. But if I say to you, today is 16 degrees Celsius, that's not a ratio scale. It's only an interval scale because there's no such thing as 0. Oh, of course there is a 0 Celsius. The 0 Celsius is at the point at which water freezes, yeah? That's the 0. But that's not a true 0. The true 0 to temperature is minus 264, which is 0 degrees Kelvin, yeah? There is no heat. That's the true 0. So a ratio must have a true 0. So these three scales, they allow us to collect answers about the world, yes? And they're collecting answers in a particular way, according to the nature of the scale. So a very important point. You need to match the nature of the scale to the nature of the reality you're measuring. And the next point, the second point, that goes with that same point, is the nature of the scale determines the type of analysis you can do using statistical analysis. So you have to match on one hand to the reality, and on the other hand back to your analysis tools. What we show today is how to collect the data using Qualtrics. In the background all the time is how we would do the analysis. Okay? So it's this type of game we're going to play all about.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Colin, back to you. You want to show something?
Yeah. Look.
Red, yellow, green.
What's that?
Nominal.
Yeah, just red, yellow, green. Yeah.
Better put blue in just to confuse is the issue, because blue and yellow make green, right? But
we've got multicollinearity.
but blue and yellow make green is only because of our eyes, right? The whole thing is really bandwidth of light, right?
Now, there you're going up a branch, you don't need to.
Oh, right, okay. So this is...
Okay, there's our picture. You do ratio scale on age, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, give me a number. Interval scale on age, 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, and very important for us, maybe I'm telling you this stuff that you know, this will have a dummy code. Well, you make the dummy code of whatever you want, but the dummy code, sensibly, Qualtrics will just fit this stuff in like that. Dummy code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you've got to, this is what Fritz is saying, the analysis. Calculate an average of a ratio scale, you go, average age is 33.4. You calculate an average of an interval scale, you say, average age is 3.1. What is 3.1? You go, somewhere in there. But you can see how your data goes, you're getting less power as you go down here. You can't calculate an average of young, middle and old, can you? You can only say, look, mostly, so I had 53 young people, modes, medians, all of that sort of thing. I had 53 young people, 20 middle people and 20 old people. So you can only really count. It's starting to get pretty crappy. And then the red, yellow, green, super crappy. You can only count, but there's no order.
You only get the mode.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, and counts. And so I know we came here to learn Qualtrics, and here's us talking about other stuff. But
so Qualtrics is joining though.
Yeah.
The analysis on the one hand with your data, and the data that you're collecting from the world. So it's a very important. We're going to do the central part, but you've got to see where it sits.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I'm supervising students. You collected the wrong time. You would have been so much nicer if you collected this or whatever. But getting someone to say I'm 52, sometimes that's hard. Reality, you're going to get people to tick boxes here a lot better. Same with income. Like, yeah, it'd be great to say I earned $61,000 last year, but people aren't. That's not people. And so sometimes for pure reality, we need to, for practical reasons, we need to use interval scales. And they're still reasonably powerful, really quite powerful to be honest. And Likert scales are good, and we can use, and we should use them as well. So the first bit of what we'll do is the practical how to use Qualtrics in building a survey, collecting the data. We'll take a breather, and then the second half, I'll get you, I'll get us to upload somebody else's data. A great student who now works for Wine Australia called Tian-Hee Hu, and can never say, I can do it better than most Australians, but I don't say Chinese names very well. She calls herself River. We'll upload her data and look at that. So how she constructed for cross tabulations method, constructing data for comparison of means, and constructing for correlations and regressions. Pretty much, I know a lot of people use structural equations, modelling and factor analysis and all of that, and I don't know anything about SEM, understand factor analysis and regressions really well. But for goodness sake, you can get a PhD, no problems at all, doing comparison of means and correlations and regressions. It's not, it doesn't have to be methodology all the time, although some people often do that. We'll go through questionnaire design, this stuff, landing and exit pages, question types, which is really how we do that data, how we make that data in the way that we want. Designing it so that it actually flows, so that your mum and dad, who's not a Mensa graduate, manages to get through the survey really quite neatly. And we have flow techniques that mean if somebody says at the beginning of the survey, I don't eat meat, then we put them into an area where we don't ask them anything about their meat preferences, because why would we? We're just annoying our people. So how to take people out of one area and put them into an area that's relevant to them. So there's two levels of that. Macro flow, where we chunk it at the block level, and people are in a whole block area answering their meat preferences. And then a micro flow that sort of says, hey, show them this question if they said they eat chicken. So like little internal micro flow. Important for us, the rolling out the survey.
Just about the blocks of flow, thinking about what the purpose of the block and the flow are. Okay, you are with a lead-in type of statement, heading or question, placing the mind of the respondent into a particular cognitive place. That's its point, that's its purpose. As they answer the questions in and from that cognitive place. You are then taking them through a flow of ideas inside that cognitive place. The point here is that if you set up the name of the block or the question that encapsulates that block, and then you have your questions correctly working through a type of sequence, you can actually, from the point of view of what you're taking from the respondent's mind, you can capture a mark in the survey on a scale which has less error. That's the point. So how you design your blocks and your flow is reducing error. That's the point.
That's a high level way of thinking about it. Right.
But it's easy to do if you see it as a conceptual game. So think of your respondent as being put into a conceptual space by you.
Yeah.
And that really works really nicely.
And so Chris is talking about reducing non-sampling error, which is really what happens by creating crappy data collection. That's what we call non-sampling error. That's the stuff that the statisticians have dealt with sampling error. They know how to deal with that, and we've got processes for that. But if we screw up at this end, nothing's going to save us. We're going to have bad measurement, their brain's in the wrong place. We're going to have data that looks like it says stuff, doesn't say stuff, and then you've got validity issues, and it all goes on like that.
A really nice analogy. If you take a piece of fruit off a tree and you eat it, it's great. If you don't do that and you stick it in a process that gets to the store every hour, every day, etc., to make it really go off. So when you're taking data from a person's mind and putting it into Qualtrics, the way you're doing that is collecting data of a higher quality.
Yeah.
You use an analogy, you can see it straight away.
It's me. I'm the bricklayer,
Yeah.
and you're thinking about it really deeply.
I'm thinking like an artist.
So, let's go with. We should all be on a screen that looks like this. If you happen to have cancelled and clicked out of it, don't worry. Just create a new project, and later on, I'll get us to do it. Forget all this on the bottom. I don't know what on earth that is. But later on, I'll just give you a file called a QSF file, Qualtrics survey file, apparently, and we'll just upload that file. That'll put River's survey into our. That's when we do data analysis, because you're going to look at other people's data, survey and data. So we don't have to go and run a questionnaire and get 460 responses. River's done that for us. But for now, we need to know how we're going to build a survey. So whatever we want to call it, cast 2000. Just for me, and I've got 1,000 sitting in there. So 2019, whatever you want to call it. And I know that you obviously know what you're doing, right? So you might be falling asleep here as I do this, but just create a project. It'll take its time. It'll come up. People always say, how do we just create a page where people come in and say hello? You create an empty question. That's all. All you do here, everyone's just flick. Now, I'm not dealing with postgraduate coursework people, which means I will get responses. So just put your hand up when I say, have you got this? You've got a screen that looks like this at the moment? Question? Yep. I'm going to count on us moving quickly, and I'm not going to have to run around and look at people's screens. So we can either delete the question, remove the choice, or the powered corner is when we highlight the question. The power is all here in this nav bar on the right hand side. Sure, this is where, and this is really useful for us as we go through how do we build all this stuff. We're really just, this is really a question of defaulting to collecting nominal data. What are you planning to have for lunch today? Sushi, meat pie, all of that. Just nominal data. And we can dumb it down even more and make it a welcome to Cullen's. Remember, Dr. Cullen Hable, if you ever see the Vice-Chancellor, tell him that I'm fantastic. All right, welcome to Cullen's survey. All of that, and our landing pages, I'm just doing junk in front of you, but our landing page, really important. So we need to do all of this stuff. Ethical items on the landing page.
Okay. So the landing page, think that also again from the point of view of the cognition and the cognitive place that you want to put your respondent. So you need to make them aware that it is a survey, that the data will be collected, that you will collect it in a manner that's ethical, that it won't be used in any way, that it will, against them, that it is confidential, and that the way that you collect the data will be confidential. Okay? You should give the purpose of the survey in some type of comment as well. So that the purpose of the survey is again positioning the person's mind into that cognitive space. What was the problem there?
Oh no, it was really just they sent him Muhammad. Is it? Navid? Hafiz. I'm very sorry. Hafiz. Yeah, thank you, Hafiz. Yeah, totally got that. One day I'm not going to be. Yeah. So, first, my just little bricklayer type thing. Sure, we don't want that junk left behind. So one way is remove choice, and because we're all quick thinkers, when we're thinking about this and we say, remember how at the bottom it say other, please specify. The allow text entry is where we do the other, please specify. Yeah, just hit create new. You're live, aren't you? Yeah. And you have to reset a password or something? Yeah, okay. I have got a workaround, but that takes time as well. So there's our other please specify, and that would give you data that gives you a variable, and then that'll give you the text variable as well. So say, what university did you go to? And then it's like University of the Sunshine Coast, or whatever it is, and then you get the chance to put that in. That becomes, but really we're just doing a landing page right now. So we over on the right hand side, click down, kill it, and then please click the right button below to continue. And as Chris had said, there's a whole bunch of ethical guidelines around data collection. We have to assure confidentiality at least. If it's anonymous, then tell them that it's an anonymous survey. We assure them that we're not going to misuse their data by sending sales reps out to go and sell them air conditioners or whatever. So we don't want to. So all of those lists of market research guidelines that. My favourite, I've got a qualified practicing market researcher, QPMR accreditation with these guys, AMSRS, it's the Australian Market and Social Research Society, and they've got a code of professional behaviour. That'll give you a great list of things. give your bona fides. I am such and such. Give them contact details. Give them a chance to this is what I need as a supervisor. Give an annoyed respondent, I'm going to say the word just quietly, a pissed off respondent, give them a chance to contact us first, because if they get annoyed with a survey that we got spelling errors, or we ask them about meat when they've already told me that they don't eat meat, we make mistakes in our survey and we get an angry customer, they'll contact the Vice Chancellor. And it'll all just roll downhill and hit me or your supervisor. We've been there, Chris and myself, over 10 years have had that. So all the trouble rolls downhill, and then so we've got to cut it off at the pass, both on the landing page and the exit page, where we say, hey, you know, we're students. This is a student project. We're learning all of that. But if you really need to talk to somebody, you give them an entry. So I'm going to create I'm going to call this the entry welcome block. I'm just renaming this block. I know it's non-linear, but people get the hang of it. I've got a block there that's called the welcome block, and it's got my question in it that has the landing page. Welcome to Cullen's survey, no problems. See down the bottom here, we've got add block. If we've got a welcome block, then what else are we going to have? What about a thank you and goodbye block? So I will move really quickly on this, but there's a block in there, thank you, thanks and goodbye. These are just internal notes, but thanks and goodbye. And inside that block, we create a new question. Thank you. Ba-da-da. Bona fides. Who am I? Bona fides. Contact. This is really the most important thing for the university, is that we don't mess up this. I've managed to skate across the top for the last 7 years, but we had disasters about 7 years ago that meant students weren't allowed to interact with the outside world. It just went very, very bad. So when we do that, contact details, and the last one is change. Here's our magical option for changing. Have you got anything to add? So our first line of defence with an annoyed respondent is they say, this is a crap survey, I don't know where you learnt to build surveys. They vent a little bit there. Second line of defence is they contact you or your supervisor, because both of those details are in there, and they vent. And I've done that before, and I've gone, I totally understand what you say. I will speak to the student, and remember, we are all learning here, and that generally protects us from emails going to the Vice Chancellor. And so, yeah, I say spend a bit of time on that. But we've also learnt block design. We've got a welcome and a thanks and goodbye block. Looks great. So we move on to let's get some data. I have to think. I will think simply along the terms of I need to build some sort of a survey. Why don't we just go with buying, the cherry blossom sushi shop across the road, trying to understand because the only reason we ever collect data is to address research problems and research questions. That's the whole reason we do data collection. We think about our research problem. Business problem is I'd like to have a profitable sushi shop on Pulteney Street. Research problem, what are the consumer preferences and behaviours around eating lunch? I know it sounds, I'm an ex-marketing guy, so business research problem, consumer preferences around Pulteney Street for lunch. And research questions can be things like, what do you do for lunch? What sort of things do you eat? All of that sort of thing. So that's where my head is at the moment. And so the first thing, welcome block, is to build a block, and I'm going to explore general lunch preferences on Hindley Street. on Pulteney. So we've with our welcome block said, this is great, thank you, we're going to talk about lunch preferences or whatever, let them know, unless you really have to hide the purpose of your survey. If you don't have to hide the purpose of your survey, which you would have put through ethics, you know, we're misleading our consumers or whatever, then just say we're talking about lunch preferences, it should take 10 minutes of survey time. And now we're in a block that is general lunch preferences on Pulteney Street. Our first question can be something as simple as, which area do you work in? And nominal data, create some nominal data, Nexus 10. Target, and I'll just roll a few things out. Yep, run them all. Uni Adelaide campus, and we know where we go. And this is where we do the other please specify. So one of the real challenges of doing research, and this is why we do qualitative, really, before we barge into a quant, is getting this list of stuff. So we get people in, and having done good qual, we know what this list is. Otherwise, I'm just pulling it out of the back of my head. And but nominal data, easy as that. Other please specify, allow text entry. There it is. That's it. I'll give you a look at the left-hand settings bar. We don't really need to randomise this, but sometimes with some questions we want to avoid order effects. You know, what sort of food do you eat at lunch? If sushi's always on the top, then you're just going to get naturally, that's why people get into fights about who's on the election cards at the right time, at the right level, because you get the donkey vote where people go, yes, sushi, and then that's it. So to randomise that is a really easy piece of work. On the settings bar on the left-hand side, a whole bunch of things that we can do, and randomisation is one of those. We don't need to do that yet, but it's there. Good common sense, and this is almost a page in your PhD about order effects and how we avoid the issue of order effects and reduction of your validity, probably validity due to donkey votes, and maybe reliability too. Don't know, but so which area do you work in? That's no problems at all. I can't go without doing another nominal question. So at lunch. I'll just go first person. At lunch, I normally bring my own. Purchase lunch in the university, because we don't want to know about what's going on in the major hub or even the professions hub. We don't want to do that. We want to look at the commercial options there. So purchase lunch in the university, purchase lunch outside of the university. Maybe we do care about that stuff, but surely we need to put people into that mental space. Typically, I'll go away from normally. Normally is a bad word. Typically, using the right words here, this would be Chris's point. I think using the right words in this point is an issue of minimising non-sampling error.
That's exactly the point. So the cognitive position is in the words. How you put the words is placing the respondent into a particular position in their mind. So it's lunchtime. Okay. At lunch, I typically, presumably here it's going to be something like eat in the office, only have a coffee, go and buy something. And so on.
Okay, if you keep talking, Chris, I'll just build Hubbard's an account here, and we'll be in great shape. So this will get us out of trouble.
All right, let's see where I can take this because I'm just out of the okay. So we've got this idea of cognitive position. We've got our nominal categories. We know we have to have the word other as one of the categories because no category group is ever complete. And one of the things we need to watch out for, of course, with categories is that they are mutually exclusive, so that there's no crossover. Otherwise, if there is, we're going to start to create error in the data. Okay. All of that is fairly clear. Maybe one of the things I think that if I was Colin I'd be talking about is that it seems that we could muck around quite well with the settings of each question. So maybe I shouldn't jump in too much, Colin, am I right?
Settings, I'll listen as you're talking, that's, and then I'll cover that, yeah.
I'm thinking about what it said.
I'll be done in a moment anyway. Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I know I've been disrespectful in your name that I've put down there, but I'm pretty sure that you should be able to log on with that A number at students.adelaide.edu, and then your login is that number. If this doesn't work, we're out of options, all right? Because I've only got two. Oh no, we might be able to do it with if you're at Adelaide, but this should work. Any minute now. Yeah. Okay. So back to projects and we're live. Good. We haven't lost much time on that. All good.
Well, what I discovered over here was very interesting because in the randomising of the categories,
yep,
the word other,
yeah,
you don't want to randomise it. So you need to go into your settings and switch across and you can choose the
good on you, Chris.
that you want to randomise.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, it was the question that was leaving me here. So you leave other out of the list, but the top three choices that you do want to randomise, you move them across into the random square.
Yeah, so it's randomised.
We went to set up advanced randomisation.
Yeah, that's the one.
And here, we moved them across to here.
Yeah.
And we left other as by itself. And I think you can just leave it.
Yeah, just leave it. Yeah.
And save.
Yeah, and there we go. Beautiful.
Right. So it was very nice.
If we want to see what's going on, so we go, I wonder how that question's going to work. Sweet. We get into the question. Sometimes people get caught up on that. We get into the question, and then preview question, and magic. Okay, this maybe the preview is not going to show that randomisation. It's certainly the preview is not showing the randomisation, but we need to. But it'll do it when you actually run the survey. Beautiful thing. The GUI randomises it. Doesn't matter, the data's always going to look the same to you. So what the respondent sees, it's all jumbled up, but it's always going to look the same to you. You just forget what the client sees. It's totally not a problem. Yep, excellent. And so I'm going to take out that randomisation because it's not important to put it in there, but it is pretty important to put it in here, isn't it? So we add a choice down here about what we do. Other, please specify. And sure, put our allowed text entry into it. Chris is exactly right with that. That we can do an advanced randomisation. Randomise the first three. And we're looking sweet. Great. we're not in dial-up anymore. We've either got NBN or ADSL or 4G or whatever. So we don't need to load a page that's got 15 questions on it. So I am all for put a page break mostly between each question on a new page. Last thing people want to do, either on a phone or on or anything, is to have to scroll. All right, you'll get dropouts, you'll get people missing answers. Hey, dropouts and forced responses. So we want people to answer our question. If it's non-critical, then okay, we don't force a response. But a lot of the time, you're asking a question because you want the answer. So forced response. And that shows up, nice asterisk there. When I'm vetting people's survey, mostly my feedback to them in style is about, you need to force more responses, you need to put more page breaks in. So as far as just bricks and mortar, then page breaks, forced responses. Really easy, flick through, do it just for everyone, mostly.
To ask you a question, you know the block heading, or the block question, is it a way to make that stand out as quite separate so that you realise each time that you're dealing inside that block?
I don't think there's any formatting for that at all, no. A neat way to do it, a neat way to strip it down, like looking at a table of contents, is to drop each question. And another way is to look at this survey flow, which actually gives you the big picture, how it's moving. And now it's got this nice little feature here that actually shows the questions in the survey flow.
One way to help the respondent would be in the block title to suggest to them that the survey now moves to ask questions about.
Absolutely.
Right? So each time they come to that heading, they know that they're being moved to a new cognitive position. Got it? That's the idea.
Yeah, that's...
So it's not just a title, but it's a title that elicits in their mind the concept that, the next series of questions is about this. You see? So you move them. Then the next heading comes up, and the next set of questions is about this. Okay, so it gives them a purpose, a meaning to what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's
very fine.
It's advanced thinking, and it's an important thing. This is an internal note, so nobody ever. This block one is definitely an internal note. So we would. I'd put on the top of every question that we're running. I would. This is where I would be saying general. General. All of that stuff. General lunch preferences on Harley Street.
General lunch preferences, and then the questions.
Yeah, I would do that. That is advanced thinking, and I'd personally, if I was the stylist for this, I'd actually bring the text size down because it's just a little reminder. 10's small. No, probably 8 is fine. So that's in rich text editor, and maybe small and bold. Weird, but then that's pretty neat. Keeps their brain in that area. That's I might incorporate.
It's probably something you don't see in a market research type of survey.
Yeah.
But I think if you're really thinking in terms of academic and you're trying to reduce your error, there's a way to think about that.
Yeah, definitely. I would.
This has all moved on since the last time I played with this. Because you could actually set up the block and you knew you were inside a block for a period.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it's now that XM owns it. It used to be a couple of guys in San Francisco Bay that built Qualtrics and sold it to Unilever. Got licenses in Unilever and Procter and Gamble, and these two millionaires sold out to a company called XM. Now it's just another product in their portfolio, and it's not what it used to be for sure. Anyway, so the reason I wanted to do this is I want to understand the behaviour of the bring my own people, the purchase lunch in the university, the purchase lunch outside of the university. So when we look at this, we have these, the welcome block, general lunch preferences, the thanks and goodbye. So we can now create a block for the bring my own people. So our next block down there, bring my own people.
So we're doing branching.
Yep, this is we're building the platform where we can build branches and send people right off. People who brown baggers, you send them off to the brown baggers area and you ask them about what they do. We might not be interested, so we might as researchers just decide we're going to discard the brown baggers and send them out, or we'll ask them a whole bunch of their own questions. So best way to do that, create a block there, and this is where it becomes a bit scary looking. People who bring their own lunch. I'll go with Chris's idea of keeping people's minds in their area. What is your main reason for bringing your own?
You don't need to say lunch again.
Oh yeah. Same old story. I'm going to bring it down to 8, bold it. Main reasons for bringing your own. Cost.
Convenience.
Sorry?
Convenience.
Yeah. Cost.
Social lunch.
Time saving. Who wants to... Yep, social lunch. Other. Maybe, no, I'm going to leave other out for a moment because I'm going to change this question type from a nominal, which is red, yellow, green, blue. Can't do much with that. But we've got a list of things that here, and everybody goes, well, it's a bit convenience, it's a bit cost, why don't we get better quality data? Remember, the ratio is the grand poobah of data, but that's the number 3 on the list. At least we can introduce some measurement, something that we can do. We can calculate medians and 20th percentiles or whatever if we do that. So instead of main reason, please
Rank.
yeah, we'll do it as a rank. I'm just trying to change out please rank. Yeah, please rank.
Reasons.
Please rank. Rank your reasons. Yeah, reasons for bringing your own. And I'll put this. You may drag and drop. Right, there we are. You may drag and drop. Remember where our magic power zone is here? This right-hand nav bar. Instead of multiple choice, it's just click of a button, rank order scale. And there it is. That'll give them a drag and drop. Cost can...
So these days with the rank, you always get a drag and drop.
It's just, so straightforward. Yeah, really neat. So the preview of the question looks like this. And there we go. No, I don't really care about cost. I really like time saving. I get nervous about the meaning of the word convenience, and that's up to you with your with you defining your constructs. I reckon the word convenience is a slippery construct, and because is it the convenience of not having to stand in line? Is it the convenience of not having to cross the road or whatever? But I leave it at that, and there we are. Perfect opportunity for randomisation. And of course, if you feel like you want to include an other in there, you can. We would leave other, please specify in there and randomised, because they might have a whole thing like I'm on a gluten-free, low fibre, whatever it is, diet, and they go, and that is my number one reason I bring my own food. And so we keep that in there. So great. We've got the bring my own people, and I'm going to purchase lunch outside of the university. My business problem is that I run Cherry Blossom. I want to sell more stuff, and so my research problem is understanding consumer preferences in this area around lunch decisions, and so my real gutsy data collection is going to be the purchase lunch outside the university. New block. Forgive my errors, but I will. It's just easy. Gotta love Google. So we're in our new block, and Google has that spell checker in it. Yeah, Chrome has a spell checker in it. Yeah, which is nice of them. Until the Terminators come, Google's our friend, right? Yeah. Purchasing lunch outside of the university, and I think we're probably in a place where we can start listing out the solutions. Yep. So we are Cherry Blossom. Remember, so which outlet which solution do you have for, just go with that for now. Again, you get your words right, your non-sampling error goes down, and so I'm just putting stuff in. I'd have to fine-tune this to make sure I'm getting their brains really thinking about what I want. But which solution do you use? And I am going to go to improving the data quality in a moment, so I'm probably going to reword this anyway. But Cherry Blossom Sushi. Let's just ping out a few other solutions there. Hungry Jacks. Again, Qual is our friend because I'm just making this up. But get a bunch of people who hang around this way, and you'll end up getting this list valid. Have we got another couple of options there? Cherry Blossom, Noodle Junction's shut, Hungry Jack's, McDonald's is over there. How about Renaissance? That's shut too. Yeah. How about Maya Centre? Again, we don't necessarily have to care about Subway, the Indian shop, the this, the that. Maybe that's all we care about. We're allowed to create our domains, but we'll just go with that, and then probably an other please specify would make sense there at the moment. Yep. Okay. People have 5 days a week. Normal 9-to-5ers have 5 days a week. We want to improve the quality of our data here, don't we? We don't even really want it drag and dropped. What we really want is probably what we call what's called comparative scale, like a percentage of how much do you do each of these. All right, and so constant sum, that's what we call it, a constant sum scale. Maybe someone just buys lunch every day at Cherry Blossom. Maybe they're 50% Cherry Blossom, 50% Hungry Jacks. Really easy to create. Again, back to our magic right-hand nav bar. Constant sum. We can get them to do maths, but we don't want to hurt their brains. Just mum and dad come to work and buy their lunch. So drop-down bar on that. We can do constant sum draggable bars. All right, how's that? Cherry Blossom Sushi. I think we could randomize it, but that's starting to get. Well, you make the choice. It's your thing.
Just on the side here, is this a ranking scale or a ratio scale?
This is going to end up giving us close enough to ratio data. It's going to give us a number between 0 and 100. Sure, it's bounded, but we're starting to get looking like ratio.
Typically, I think it's an ordinal scale.
Yeah.
And if you want to rank your assumptions, like you use an assumption, it's like saying, oh, we collected this sample randomly, but you did not.
Yeah.
Then you could use it. You could say, we will assume that it's a ratio scale, even though it's not.
Yeah.
And then use it as a ratio.
I get really caught up in that fine-tuning part. Scale 1 to 7 is probably looking like an interval scale because it's just 1 to 7 dots.
Then it starts to
Yeah.
change.
So it was Chris that taught me this. I came to Uni Adelaide with a PhD in mathematical modelling and of consumer behaviour. Probability-based modelling. I didn't know this stuff. So it was Chris that actually brought this to me. So we've got that. When it runs, we can again preview the question. When it runs, as a mum and dad here, we can click our box or we can write a number in. So either way, it's a really neat thing, and it gives us what looks like ratio data. But problem, we want this to sum to 100, don't we? Really? So I know we're going to need to change the wording, but the very first thing we want to do, click here, max value, number of decimals, somewhere there, must total 100, and then we're fine. And then please nominate the percentage of times each given solution. And this is, I'm probably talking too fancy for the respondents, so I would come back and I'd pre-test and I'd do validity checks and all of that sort of thing. Numbers must total to 100. Easy as that. To be fancy, rich content, do the small and bold, and we're in the game. Looks good. They should default. If we do it right, we should be able to set the default number. Yeah, I know. We either need 5 or turn those numbers to 25. But actually, to set it as 80, with that must total 100, is actually pretty good. It'll force them to move something. So a quick preview of that question should spit it out for us, already pre-populated. It says numbers must total 100. Clever people are going to look at that and say, oh man, I have to do something, and drag it out there, or oh, I'm going to have to do that, or oh, yeah, just a bit cheeky. But really neat question. Gives us something that looks like ratio data. It is powerful. It is powerful because you can put then each variable comes out with a number. This particular respondent would give you a number that's 24. So you can make that a dependent variable, to be honest, in a regression. You're sweet. That's and so someone's 24, and then you say you put a whole bunch of other variables in as independent variables. Draw a conceptual framework, sorry for people over that side, a rough conceptual framework that is percentage cherry blossom. And we're cooking. And we say, well, what do we think might feed percentage cherry blossom? And, find a variable, age. I'm sure there are 74-year-old sushi eaters, but I bet you
25-year-old people eat more sushi than so age could be a relevant independent variable. Just collect age, we're sweet. Income and income, education, all of that sort of thing. When I talk to my students, I say these are the boring independent variables. The interesting independent variables tend to be things like attitudes, maybe cultural background. We can put cultural background in there, but attitudes to lifestyle, attitudes to health, all of those sorts of things. But I'm not in the game of designing a research project for us, especially about cherry blossom. But this, to come back to it, sweet little independent variable. Dependent variable.
That's the question the same day. You put that later on in the survey in a different block.
Yeah, that's a really, really neat point. Just remind me your name. Matt? Yeah, great, Matt. Thanks. Excellent.
It's a question
Yeah.
how you sign your blocks.
Yep.
So the point is that the respondent is answering the questions and you're taking it through the flow. And if it fits inside the flow is the way.
Yeah.
So how you and what you pull your blocks and why you pull them back for the respondent's mind to be moving, that's what you select.
And for your own practical movement, it's like generally we put demographics at the back because they're not as mission critical, and people get cranky sometimes if we ask them how old they are early. It's like, no, sorry, see ya. And so as a general rule, we like to put demographics at the back.
Yeah.
But
critical information. I mean, the usual way is to have a sort of funnel type design.
Really sloppy stuff up the front,
and you bring them in, and tighter information. So because as they go and they work their way through the blocks, they are sort of realising exactly where you're going. They get the feel for it. They're fish running in that stream. So they feel as they go the different blocks that work. So you can choose where you want to put that critical information.
Yeah. And you can sort of see I ran that funnel process to begin with, general lunch preferences. I wouldn't only have 2 questions in here. What's the reason you bring your own? What's the, I'd maybe not the reasons because that's in the bring my own bit, but I'd ask a whole bunch of things. How many days a week are you actually buying lunch? All of that sort of thing. That's all top of the funnel, all the general what people are doing. And then as we roll them through the survey, we give them a whole bunch. We get them right narrow, saying how much do you think you should pay for a stick of sushi, right at the end, right down at the bottom of the funnel, and then some demographics at the end. Sweet, and that's what I will do. They bring my own. We always, not always, but as a general rule, as I said, demographics block. The beauty of this, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so in here we can, don't want that, we can, instead of the create a new question, we can bring questions in. So the import questions from, I just go to Qualtrics library, survey library, demographics, how lucky is that? And sure, it's a US piece of software, so we need to be careful about what they're doing, but it's pretty not so bad. If you have the guts to ask for a year of birth, then fill your boots. I generally never do. I'm a 0 to 10, 11 to 20 type of person. I actually have a feeling that there is no interval question as a preset here, interval year of birth question. So we probably need to create that for ourselves. I can't remember, but anyway, the beauty is we can just go through. Yeah, we're going to do gender, income information. Fantastic. We want that. Look at this. Typically American, Spanish, Hispanic, or Latino. No, we don't want that. Wow. Let's put the word black in there. That's really going to work. So be careful about what we're using as a freebie. Yeah, following best describes you. So yeah, gender non-binary, and that is truly a real issue. Our HREC are always now flagging gender non-binary. Yeah, look, it's we do our own fishing trip here. How many people living in a house served in active duty? Are you now serving in the armed forces? Wow, this is all a bit weird. Very American, yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah, we just import the questions and change what we want. Yeah. Yeah, so there we are. One or more races done like that. But there is an education. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just going to do that. There's one about education too. The education one in here is really pretty good. Occupation. Somebody, highest level of school, yeah, that ends up being not so bad. Yeah. So we just hit the import 3 questions. Life is good. Really nice. So generally we go, for some reason poor little Qualtrics, I think, is just having a fit. There we go. Of course I'm going to take the word sex out. What is your gender? Male, female? You know, the gender non-binary question really is an issue, modern world, and so I wouldn't know. I'm just going to put here as a note to self: non-binary. Note to self. Fix. And then Cullen, have a think about this later on about how you want to deal with that. And so under this, we can change questions and call this, to be real nice housekeeping, we can call this D1. This feeds right through to your SPSS file. Okay, so really nice customizing this will end up being your variable name. You might as well do this right here. So this will go straight through to SPSS. We might as well. Oh yeah, just click on what it says it is, and then D2. Yeah. If you're lazy and you don't want to have good housekeeping, the very least you should do is auto number the questions, and then it will at least go sequential, or it'll go block. And the block then Q1 will have been block 5 or whatever, so it'll be Q5.1, Q5.2. The very least is that, but man, you want to be friends to yourself, then do it that way. I'm going to call this D4 because we really need to put easy. Click there. Please tell me your age. Yeah. Please tell me your age, and that's where we do the 0 to 10, 11 to 20. No, I'm sloppy, but 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. You work out the granularity you want here. You might want 5-year granularity. Well, make it 5-year granularity. Chris and myself discussed this earlier, though. But and we really are crucifying ourselves if we don't keep these intervals the same. It ruins the mathematical properties of the scale, and it means you're clumpy. You know, if you do 0 to 30, 31 to 40, you've just ruined the mathematical properties of what you're measuring. Yeah. Good point. Less than 10. Yep. Totally. Yeah, it's looking a bit logarithmic there, isn't it? They've built it a little bit logarithmic. They've kept it linear in that middle bit, and then an interval of 10 there, an interval of 50 up the top. Yeah.
There's a nice analogy that helps here, right? It's like imagining that in one part, if that's the 10-year period, And then in another part, if it was a rubber band, it's like that. So
Yeah.
it might be shh. And then another part, push it back. So it's what you're doing is actually changing the way that the measurement is occurring in between. That's the issue.
There's always sweet things. You've got superpower here. You've got position vertical, horizontal. Turn it sideways, or keep it vertical and put it into a column. You know, you work out how you'd like to do it. It's generally, look, that doesn't look bad.
I like the idea of blocks. Like that. It's good.
Yeah.
And you do a fourth row, so you could almost do.
I think there might be some advanced formatting there, but yeah. Look, so in particular, yeah. I mean, you can insert a graphic around it. You could put a picture of a baby, put a picture of a baby, a toddler in there, and all of that. Not as useful for age as if you're doing about which bottle of wine would you choose. You put a label of a bottle of wine in there, way better. But remember, all 4 page breaks. There's page break in everything. There is a setting, a top-level setting that forces under survey options. Really cool. And there is something in there that says survey 1 to a page. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. You can put a back button in. You can show question numbers. This is all totally. Sometimes I get embarrassed being asked to teach Qualtrics because you can just ramble through it and work it out. So the survey options is really neat. While I'm talking, I know it's non-linear. Yeah. To the survey options. Yeah. Sorry, the
HTTP referrer verification.
Oh yeah, it'll tell you that you've got if it's come from somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Mostly I'll leave all of that those roadblocks off, but that's neat. That's neat. Yeah, so that your respondents can it captures the URL and it only lets you send an answer once from a URL. Fine, multi-device people can still cheat, but you know, if you're that clever, then stuff my ballot box. Go right ahead. Yeah. It generally, it captures. The metadata it captures is IP address. It captures your longitude and latitude. That's really cool. So you just get a list. You get a list of longitude and latitude. Put it into some free software, Google Maps even, and it'll give you a dot map of where your respondents came from. Around the world. It's pretty cool. Another thing. This will just default if it shows up. So it's probably best to change the survey title as Pulteney Street lunch preferences, because these titles turn up in funny places. If you share it through Facebook, it gives you, instead of being Qualtrics survey data, the best software in the world, it'll probably give you a preview that says Pulteney Street lunch preferences. Same with the meta description. Stop doing freebies. Just Pulteney Street lunch preferences, and then that'll mean that when it turns up as metadata, if someone hovers over your URL, it'll say Pulteney Street lunch preferences. Just little stuff that makes it practical. Sure. Yeah, so that survey options is a pot of gold, and while I'm at it, then the look and feel option is a really important thing as well, especially if you've got students or even for yourself. This is your default skin. So we generally come out with a skin that looks like this, and with very few exceptions, I get the students to change the theme. My students to change the theme. So so I've just got to find where they go. Probably old editor is better for me because I can't remember. I don't know how to use this new one. So I hit old editor and it comes in. It's got University of Adelaide themes, but Qualtrics themes, and then it comes up with generic front skins, so or themes. Whole bunch of different things. Wheatgrass is really cool for me. I love it. It's so cool and hippie. But Qualtrics 2017, Qualtrics 2014 is a good one. And then it means, because especially when I've got students who do make mistakes, it's not throwing the University of Adelaide logo in their face with a whole bunch of spelling errors or poorly designed questions. So sure, for yourselves as research degree students, you might feel like the skin is the right thing, and if you really need to, there's somewhere in there where you can customize your base skin. So you can actually find a way to even over this. Yep, good. So there is a way to even over this, customize. It might be in survey options or whatever, but the base skin you could. And I know I'm just rattling around the place, but somewhere in your base skin you can insert a picture. I've got a library here, insert a graphic. Ooh. I may have deleted all my graphics, so upload a new graphic. Anyway, so I'm probably going too far out on a branch. You can find ways to get pictures into your skins. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, so we've done basic block design. When we come back, we'll do and mostly questionnaire design, the question design. So when we come back, we'll do block flow. Moving the sushi people straight into the sushi mindset, or whatever, the block flow, and then micro flow, which is a lower level stuff. By the time you've got those two levels of flow, you've got people doing the right things in the right place all the time. And then launch procedures. Launch procedures, what you do to get it out to the world, and after that we'll do managing data. Once you've collected the survey, managing post response. When you've got 360 and of those 360, 40 of them are dropouts, and tidying up your data labels and all that, managing post-response, and as we roll to 12, just a little bit of top-line analysis within the Qualtrics platform. So Qualtrics has got some pretty good onboard stuff, so a little bit of top-line analysis, but really how to get your stuff out into a good-looking, clean SPSS file. And that's looks like a relatively short list, but it will take us close. Well, I'll aim for 11:30. Yeah. All right. So take a breather. I'll hit the pause. This is recording. So sweet screen recording, all of that. My horrible voice, and we're on. I don't know if you took time out. I didn't really. I went and spoke to Rebecca about how to get stuff up. But Rebecca did ask a question: how do you get stuff in? Rich content editor, YouTube embeds. It's just for me to show off because this is my tool of trade. YouTube embeds. I don't know, the Warumpi band. Maybe I want the Warumpi band to be. Please review this video of my island home and tell me what you think. We simply get the embed code of it, go back into our survey, and then this is what I was saying to Rebecca. There are dozens of ways of getting people to see stuff and talk about stuff. Go into HTML land. Somewhere here I've got some room. and we put the embed code in, take it out, and then all of a sudden we've got that sitting in there. Please tell me what what do you think about the Warumpi band? So no joke. This is why I say it's almost embarrassing, the intuitiveness of this platform is. And that brings me then to, if we get caught in this netherworld of we don't have a license, ways of doing it: buy a market research textbook that'll give you a full license of Qualtrics for about 3 or 4 months. That's a bit tricky. So yeah, that's $100. Will give you a license for 6 months, I think. The trial license of Qualtrics is fine, but then it starts to play games that you can only use a certain types of questions, can't collect more than 200 responses or whatever. So that gets a bit weird. Other software, SurveyMonkey is I just hate the fact that I'm using something called SurveyMonkey. But back in the day, Flinders were a bit tight, and I'm a contractor. I'm not a lecturer. I'm not on staff, but I do have enough work to keep food on the table. So I'm exclusive to Uni of Adelaide at the moment. But there was a time where I was doing some work for Flinders, and Flinders were using SurveyMonkey, and I was forced to run us and the students through SurveyMonkey. It's quite fine. It'll give you a free license that'll give you probably about the same as what Qualtrics does, and an individual license is $100. I know that Qualtrics licenses, when I thought I don't need the business school, I'm going to go out on my own, and I was asking questions, the Qualtrics licenses for an individual business are crazy money, like well in the thousands. And they'd hinted me that it might be actually $20,000 if I wanted to start my own business up and be running Qualtrics. So of course, they're using a good marketing process of penetration and institutional relationship, get everybody trained up on Qualtrics, and then they go out to the market research agencies and say, oh, I only use Qualtrics. But there we are. Let's fly through this. So we've built the foundation of our blocks, which is exactly right. We know in our brain we really want to run it like this, draw it out, and this is more for me more than anybody else anyway. But we want to do welcome. We want to send. We want to do general preferences, gens. We want to do off of that. Whatever this decision tree thing is the outside people. We then want to go to we want to send to the outside. That's the important one, isn't it? You bring my own. We want to ask them a few questions, and then the purchase in the university. We want to we're not interested, let's pretend. We make our own decisions about that, but in this block, it's the survey flow that does this. Okay, so the natural fall is like this. The natural fall is like like this. It's, for some reason, I've got those extra little items in there. I can't tell you why, but if you just build it in blocks, it'll run its own course. But under here we've got these questions. Which area do you work? We say, right, this is our branch, isn't it? We want to we want to send the bring my own people off to a bring my own block. So in the add below, in this decision area, add below, we add a branch. And that branch is, and I know I'm going so fast, but I'm going to do it again as well. If that branch is, I typically select choice, I typically bring my own, is selected, show them a block, and I know I'm going so fast, but we do the bring my own people, fine. We think about how this flows. So we've done that, we go bring my own, Right, well, what do we do once we've branched them off? Do we send them back in, or do we just run them home? I'm going to run them home. I'm going to show them the bring my own questions. I'm going to show them the demographics block. And then I'm going to show them the thanks and goodbye block. And then end the survey. That's what we do if we say we bring our own. Why not build another block? We've got this general thing. We do a branch there, add a condition, again, question. Ooh. The question is, I typically, and then the purchase lunch outside of the university is selected. Then we say, not interested. No, that's wrong. I'm going to move back, edit the condition, purchase lunch in the university is selected, because I just want to send them home. It's like, get out of here, you bore me. Maybe I'll ask them some demographics questions, and then the thanks and goodbye is probably a little rough, because we're just saying, you've done your survey now. You'd probably want to say, look, we really appreciate your interest, but we have enough people. Create another block that says we have enough people that meet your criteria. We appreciate your interest. Thanks, and then send them the thanks and goodbye. But then that's about form. That's about how neatly we want to run it. So we've done that. That's how we run them home. And then we've got the one we really want to show is the purchase lunch outside of the university. I'll tell you what, we probably want to, there's 4 items on there. There's an other as well. So look, let's make a branch that gets rid of the other people as well, because they bore me too. Typically, other, please specify, is selected. Just send them the thanks and goodbye block and send them home. That's all right. And the last one, the most important one, is build a branch for our I typically purchase lunch outside of the university is selected, and that's where we go to our magic. Lunch outside of the university, add a new question, block, demographics, bang, thanks and goodbye, and then home, and then end of survey. If it's exhaustive, if your branches here have been exhaustive and there's nothing left over, you don't need to worry about that, because everybody goes into the end of survey. I'm pretty sure I'm dealing with PhD people here, so I don't need to say that a dozen times. But if everybody's answered every question, you don't need to worry about these leftovers. But if it turns out that you've got one, if you have got a leftover, like the other, if I hadn't have branched the other, then they're going to go off, then they're going to answer a couple of questions, and then they're going to get all this detritus. It's going to leave all that, and it's just bad housekeeping. So the easy way to do that, it seems like it's going to hurt you, but it's not. Just delete these blocks. Just get them out. All right, just a bit of housekeeping, get them out. Even if you delete stuff that hasn't shown in this, it's not going to send it off to the Netherlands. It's going to give you a flag in the question design area saying, hey, no one's going to see this. So it'll give you a flag that says basically it says nice question, but it's not included in your flow, and it's got a little red flag, and you'll be fine. So that's macro flow. You can sort of see that we're just taking a huge chunk of people. We're taking a chunk of people who are out there buying lunch, and putting them through our story. So we're back into the survey. The general survey question creation. This is where I want to show us the mini questions. So we're going to say, build a new question that says, okay, cherry blossom. How do you rate cherry blossom as a producer of sushi. And we go horrendous out to, and then I'll just bring it out to magic power session over here, go to a 7 point horrendous, the greatest sushi ever. I'm going to change that to a horizontal slide, change these right choice to. I never know what to do here. I might end up doing this. And Chris may have an opinion on this. It's a degree of liking scale, and bipolar. It's hopefully it'll give us something. I sometimes just leave blank spaces in there and don't do 1 to 7, but I find that respondents actually don't get their mind right on that. They don't know that it's a continuum, and only half of them really get the idea that it's a continuum. This is probably the best way, I find. Yeah, it sort of intuitively communicates that that's what we're doing there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There are tricks. There are tricks that we could do on that. If I was going to do that, I'd create a new entry in here. I'd insert a choice in here. I'd move it up, and I'd do horrendous. But I can't think what then we would. It is actually a good. I'll show you. It is actually... Horrendous is probably not a word I would use anyway, but I'm just playing with my friends here. But let's say we do it that way. And and so what'll happen there... It looks, it's created that's going to be dummy coded as 1, and so there are ways of creating these as missing values, all right? And but then missing values is not what we want either. It's going to give us yuck. So I can't think of ways of prettying that up to do it.
And the other way would be, in the old days, you used to be able to drop text. It's like inside a box.
I can't remember how to do it in I don't know how to do it in questions inside a question answer. So I'll go back to what I had. Now, this is a really neat, important thing for us to think about. This is going to screw up our dummy coding. When we start putting things in, moving them out, putting things in, moving them out, we're going to get 1s, 4s, 9s, 14s are going to turn up really weird in our dummy coding. And I'll show you what I mean here. On our settings, recode values, we've been lucky. We've been lucky that it's that the recoded values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 have worked. So we don't have to worry about that. But no joke, when you start getting weird numbers turn up in your dummy coding, like 1, 14, 13, it'll be because you were putting things in, taking them out, putting new things in, taking them out, and your coding, it's going to send Qualtrics for a spin, and you're either in SPSS or you do it here. when the numbers come out as dummy coded, as you'll see, it'll come out and it'll come out with a weird thing like a 14 there and an 8 here because you've been moving things around and Qualtrics just went for a spin. You go, well, that's not what I want. What I want is a 4 and what I want is a 6. And once you close that, it'll export to Qualtrics. Your problems are over. So that's a really neat way, yeah, because as you said, otherwise you're recoding into the same variables and you don't know what, yeah, it's just a lot of work to do. And in a moment I'll also, well, while we're on that, I know it's non-linear, but while we're on that, when we want to export to, when we want to tidy up what goes out to SPSS, this edit question label is exactly what we want to do. So all we do, that's what's going, at the moment, that's what's going to go into SPSS as your question label. And then again, as Chris said, you spend a year in SPSS fixing it up. So you can just say rating of cherry blossom. Look, I'm going to be cheeky and put 1 to 7. Put the words 1 to 7 in there. Help me out when I get to SPSS. And so now we've got. So there's a lot of things we can do that's going to export. Not even SPSS. When we export as a CSV, sometimes we look at things in Excel as well. It means we haven't got like sometimes there's like 200 characters in the question label, and it just looks really horrible. Okay, so imagine that we've got cherry blossom people here, and the cherry blossom people, someone said they never use cherry blossom. We don't want to be showing them a cherry blossom. How do you rate cherry blossom? Because they say they never use it, or maybe they do. This is my problem. But let's pretend we've decided that we don't want to know anything from people who don't use cherry blossom. Actually, as far as research questions go, we probably bloody do. Maybe they went in there and it was junk and they're never going again. But for us now, let's pretend that look, we only really care about people who use cherry blossom 10% of the time or more. All right, and that's fraught with its own issues, and I know. But pretend that that's what we want to do. We can do that using a micro flow, and that's here on the left-hand side. Display logic, all of these things, carry forward choices, display logic, all of that sort of thing. So I'm going to begin, I'll just go with display logic. We only want to show this question to if the nominate, if cherry blossom is equal to, no, probably greater than 10. If that's what our own participant selection criteria is. But you have your own things you might want to do about that. But it's up here. Display logic. If the question is, please nominate. If cherry blossom is not equal to, let's change it to greater than 10. And that's it now. It puts it in. There you are.
It's really interesting. It's like you almost don't need to redesign your survey before. If you can keep your head around all this, you can design the whole lot.
I get really cranky with students who say, I've done my survey, here's a Word document. I say, you're kidding me. It's a dynamic, Qualtrics is a mind aid. It's a dynamic process of how you create your flows and all of that.
So, but for you checking it, or someone else checking it, you would be able to print out, shoot some flow document, all the rules, etc. along the way.
Yeah, I've not found a good way to do that. I've actually done a few cheats where I've given access to clients or supervisors through the back end, and then they have to look at the back end. I've not found a good way. I know that we can. Look, it probably does. Under Tools, we can export to Word, export survey to Word, and that will give some crappy Word version, and it probably has flows in it, but it's never as good as just looking in the back end. Yeah. And really, that's a bit. So we've covered that. There's a whole bunch of other. There's a whole bunch of other things that I put that on the wrong question. How silly of me. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to put it on that question. Shows how easy life is, right? Add display logic back in there. Fix it. Please nominate. Cherry blossom greater than 10. Is greater than 10. Greater than 10. Now it's telling me off. Look at this. In-page display logic is unavailable since you are using incompatible question type. That's a whole big lot of words for put in a page break. That's pretty much what it's saying. So I've hit the yes. It's going to crack a fit if we try to run it, because it's just going to show it all the time because it's all on the one page. So that was a big I hit the wrong button. A long worded way of saying add a page break. As soon as I put a page break under that, it's going to roll. And even if I edit this, it's probably anyway, it's going to be fine. Now that I've got a page break in there, it's just an old error message left over. So other things that can go in there, and I really am not going to spend a lot of time on this, but carry forward choices is really neat. In a way, carry forward, we can carry forward the displayed choices of, we don't want the rating, we want to carry forward the percentage of times. Cherry blossom, we can decide that we take out Hungry Jacks. Can't remember how, but anyway, all choices. Here, where they've ticked a box there, it brings forward those it brings them into your questions. I'll do it on a different one. I'll do it on general lunch preferences. This is way easier. I'll create a new question then that is a carry forward choices, and I'll bring forward all the choices from Nexus 10, and then you can change those questions. Oh yeah, it'll bring forward only target. If they've said I work in target, you can change it into tell me what you think about when they ticked target, you could put content in there that will answer questions as well. It's look, again, it's an exploration. I can't off the top of my head think of how it might be useful, but it can be.
So in other words, you've got your ranking up above.
Yep.
And now you can use the ranking to ask other questions inside that again.
Yeah. And look, if it turned out, imagine people say, oh look, I work in, maybe they got two jobs. They work in Nexus 10 and Target or whatever. So I'm not far from that myself, to be honest, but work in Nexus 10 and Target. You could change this. I know it's fanciful, but you can change it here to say that we can change this multiple choice into multiple answer. This is a trap for, not a trap, it's a pro tip. When they're circles, you can only say I work in Nexus 10. But if I happen to work in Nexus 10 and Target, making money wherever I can, then you change this to multiple answer, and it turns these radio buttons into squares, and people can tick as many as they want. And that's where the beauty of this carry forward comes from, because then it'll carry forward. If they say Nexus 10 and Target, say tell me about this nice work environment. Nice work environment and good lunch breaks. Yeah. And then take that down, bring it down. I haven't got anything, can't think of anything more, so I put that in. and what that will do, tell me about your employer, and then and it'll only bring, if they tick Nexus 10 and target, it'll only bring Nexus 10 and target forward, and then they can do that. And I'd probably yeah. I mean, I'd turn it into multiple answer, and then that becomes a pick any. They either if they say it's got a nice work environment, it becomes a 1, and if they don't tick it, it's a missing. And so that's, you definitely need a page break in there. But yeah, that I'll show you. Look, we come up here, we hit preview, we run through. Oh, look, this is what it is. Welcome to Cullen's survey. This is what it looks like on a phone. Yes, I work in Nexus 10 and Target. Tell me about your employer. Yes, nice work environment. No, I never get lunch. Target hasn't got a nice work environment, but it's highly unionised, so I get lunch breaks. And then at lunch, this is at lunch I typically purchase lunch outside of the university. Great. Okay, Cherry Blossom is, man, I go to Cherry Blossom. Oh, this will probably give me an error now. Oh, bad luck. I think I've got a bug in there. I need to go back and check my validation. Anyway, because I was over 10 for Cherry Blossom, I'm going, man, I love it. Yep, I'm male. I'm this age. I earn that much. And I'm this age. For real, man. I've got some PhD, something doctoral, and then this survey sucks, and then we're done. All right. So
it's really interesting because the best way to verify this is to sit down and be different people.
Yeah.
And go through it as a different person. So you should try to think about, as you're designing it, who are the different types of people. And you keep a list of those, then you can go through and track that type of person through. That would be
totally. Yeah. Yeah, that's.
So it's intuitive in how it's working. It's not linear in how it's set up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we've got to think through that. We've got to think. I'm a person who works in Target. I'm earning $20,000 a year, and I'm always work through my lunch breaks. And then now I'm a PhD supervisor. I only come once. Well, it's a PhD qualified lecturer. I only come into the university twice a week. Do I buy lunch? No. And then you just different personas is the best way. That actually probably puts me to saying, how do we launch? And so we create a draft, and you do your own personas as you run for sure. But then I wonder if I've got animations on this that'd make me look clever. Yep, there it is. So we create a draft. We run our own personas. Yep, okay. And now I'm a 60-year-old guy, emeritus professor who only comes once a week or whatever. So we do a draft. We test it for ourselves. We send it to our friends who we trust. Maybe not 10, but and we say, do this in as many personas as you want. Give me feedback, typos, flow. Is there anything that looks wrong? So we do that. Get your supervisor to look at it. That's about the time you say, I reckon I'm ready to put this out. Supervisor looks at it, says, I think so. I'm going to give you actually right now the thing you've got to do. Never ever send your supervisor a Word document or a URL. They should be with it enough. If they're supervising you, they should be with it enough to have a Qualtrics account. If they're not, I don't know, have a chat. Because look, you should be in Qualtrics and you should have a look at it. Maybe not. Maybe you export a Word document and you go through it with them one by one. That's all about you and your relationship. But here we are back in here. We want to share it with our supervisor. I say I think it's under tools. Yeah, there we are. Collaborate. And I want Chris to see it. And so Here he is, Chris Medlin. Add him, send him some spam, tick all the boxes, and then that's it. And now Chris gets to see what's in your survey. Gets to edit. You've given him all the. Please do that for your supervisor. Don't say, "Oh, I don't want him being able to do this or that," him or her. Just give them everything, okay? But then again, that's you and your supervisor work out how you feel about that. But that then means that they'll see it turn up on their projects list. You can see I didn't create these 1,000 projects, but there are 881 of them. Gee, have I created 400 projects? But anyway, the shared with me projects are. I've got 880 projects are shared with me. They're all there, so it turns up on their list. They get to see it. If Chris logged in right now, he'd have cast 2019. Looking at him, it's always a bit of a. I consider it unprofessional to send them a Word document. The most unprofessional is to launch it and then say, "Please have a look at my survey as I've launched it," and then you give them a URL that is the respondent URL. It just shows you're actually not really in the supervision relationship properly. And it never happens with PhD students, but it does happen quite often, even with MBA students, but specialist master's students. They say, "I've launched my survey. Please have a look at it." What do they do? And this is actually, we're in this world now of launch procedures. Yeah, it's good. Well, it can be good. It says you've got this stuff. You know, it's just bugs of. It's a bit of AI, I think, that's trying to work out how readable it is, and it's not optimised for mobiles. One of your questions, it's a bug checker. Bug checker, really neat, and better than nothing. Another thing, once you've looked anyway. So the trick now, get it out to the world. Getting it out to the world is pretty easy stuff. Distributions. The very first thing we do, this is the thing that's an insult to your supervisor. Get a single reusable link. It's okay for everybody else, but there's your reusable link. Copy paste that into an email, send it off. You're already in. This even actually applies as a live URL. It'll send me into the survey straight away, and I go through and I'm answering questions. So the very easiest thing to do, you saw me do it, is click once to get a reusable anonymous link. Look, if you need people to key it in, put it in through tinyurl or bit.ly or whatever and say Cullen Survey 2019, and then at least they can key it in bit.ly/Cullen Survey 2019 so that you haven't got code. HRC. No, I wasn't planning to talk about HRC very much. Yeah, that is a exported Word document. I don't think people in HRC are in the running Qualtrics. And as an operational thing, really what they care about is the content of the questions and your sampling. And it'll export to Word and there'll be white space everywhere, and then you need to edit that Word document for HREC. But that's all they ever really care about is the questions you're asking and all that thing. Recruitment front pages. The flows, definitely not. They'll care about your landing page. They'll care about your exit page, and typically there's about 4 iterations of the submission to HREC, and so they'll say, no, you need to do that, you need to do this. But the heads up is they'll care about your landing page and your recruitment documents, the emails that you send. The disclaimers on your, the authorities and all of that. Getting it out to the world. My Chinese students in Specialist Masters love QR code. So that'll just put a QR code. That'll give you I think a PDF or something of a QR code. For some reason, it might be Weibo or whatever the social media is that they're using. The QR code, my Chinese students love it. Domestic students, not really so much. This offline app we haven't paid for it, don't worry about it, but that allows you to put it onto a tablet, not connected, take it out to the back of Beyond and run it, but we don't have that. The social media is a genius, and because you don't want to put a URL into Facebook. If you just put a URL into Facebook, it looks all good from the front, but then Facebook, when your respondent clicks on the survey, it says this is an unreliable. It just throws up firewalls. It says, be careful. Do you want to proceed? Things go wrong when you've clicked this button. So Facebook put up their own Facebook firewalls if you just put a URL in the box. And, once you've got 100 people click on your link and it's done a firewall and only 5 of those people have said, all right, Cullen's good, I'll go through, you've burnt those respondents. You're never getting them again. You look silly if you say, I had a bug on my last survey. It's fixed now, can you please do it? So the way to do it now, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, of course, and I think Reddit, but who knows? Facebook's the one, and that'll just flick you straight through. Oh, I have to log in. So I do. Gotta love Chrome. You've got to love Chrome. There we go. See how that's gone through and called it Pulteney Street lunch preferences, because I did that in survey options. Otherwise, you're just in. It's just like Qualtrics, quality software, all of that. So you don't want that. So please, friends, do this. I care. Share in a group, whatever on earth it is. Send it through. It'll probably. I'm not going to post it, but it'll probably put you through the ringer of I'm not a robot spammer. It's like, is this a tiger or pick all the images that are cats, and then it's got tiger and something, and then you go click, 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 click. It does a whole bunch of checks to make sure you're not a robot. That's sweet. Facebook's good. I've sometimes used LinkedIn, but that's good. One last thing before we go any further. There is this emails issue thing. Very advanced, but great. If you've got a sampling frame, I won't even do it through that. I'll go back to contacts. If you have a sampling frame, remember the word. What the word sampling frame means is a list of people you want to send to. So if you've got a sampling frame, let's say I've got that old contact list of wineries in Australia, 2,000 people. You can load that up as a contact list. It used to be called a panel, but it's now called a contact list. And so you can load it up as a... something's gone on. Yeah, BRM, maybe I'll have a look and see. I don't know, I've got something's gone on. I'm not particularly nervous about it. I think it's just that I'm using a university computer or something like that. But this will actually, the contacts thing will allow you to upload a sampling frame, send out an email to those people, see if they've responded. It's a really advanced distribution method. I used it just the other day when people who'd finished assignment 3 in BRM, I loaded them up as a contact list, and then I sent out, hey, you finished assignment 3. Do you want to nominate for a hub session? Do you want to nominate to come in and talk to me downstairs? And that was a really neat way of doing it. And it's just not opening it up for me at the moment, so I'm not scared. I'm not scared. Excellent. All right. Yeah. Qualtrics will. This will probably take you through to a big ad. Qualtrics panels, and these guys will. Qualtrics will, depending on what we call incidence rate. If it's just general population, anybody in Australia can answer your survey. So 100% incidence rate. That'll give you the cheapest price, and that's somewhere between $3.50 and $5 per respondent. And they are geniuses. Qualtrics are geniuses. They will, you flick them $2,000 and say, give me as many respondents as you can, and they'll say, all right, where do you want them from? You go, well, I'd like them from equal distribution state by state, and they'll send it out and they'll fill it out that you get 10% South Australian, 30% New South Wales, 30% Victoria, or whatever those natural fall are. They'll do it. But they do charge. Australian, yeah. They do charge, but as soon as they do, I've done commercial jobs with it, as soon as you've paid, they just take over the whole, we'll get your responses for you. They'll go into your survey, they'll put access codes in, they'll tag things, they'll do all sorts of things that is really, really nice. So other commercial providers will do it as well. So Pure Profile, there's a whole bunch. You just say purchase survey respondents. Just Google that, and they'll say, yeah, we work with Qualtrics. So any commercial provider will do it, and then they put into your survey distributions, your flow. They put the right sort of URL checkers, and they'll put quotas in that mean that as soon as 10% of South Australians have turned up, they'll. Yes, yeah.
So many years ago, it's still been used to do an index of financial advisors according to customers. And we just did 400. So many from each state, so many male, so many female, so many from metro, so many from regional, so many from each Asia. And what we've got there, 400 is essentially a representative sample for the Australian population. So we say, even though we just create quotas.
Yeah, which is the hardliners will tell you that quota sampling is a non-probability method. The hardline people will tell you that, hey, you're in two good types of sampling methods: probability method and non-probability sampling. As soon as you're in the quota sampling area, the hardliners will say you're in non-probability method, but that's a criticism that is easily sort of washed away.
Look, it's so easily washed away that all you do is put a sentence in.
Yeah.
So, for example, the most common sentence in any article that you'll ever read is, we assumed a random sample.
Yeah.
It's the most common sentence. So immediately it's telling you they've broken the basic rule of statistics.
Yeah.
That's what it's telling you.
Yeah.
And it's the most common sentence in a qualitative paper.
Yep, totally. Right, I've got to find a way to get you these URLs. What's the easiest way for me to get you these URLs? It's a did Carolyn? I've got there's a file here that I need to get out to the students in this class. Yeah, we've got to do it right now. That's all. So I've got to get this file to students, so we can USB it around, I suppose. Yeah, do that. Yeah, I've got a USB here. Yeah, I have got a. Yeah. Well, I'll get to it. It's a 2-minute job. Yes. I think it has a translate version of its own. Just let me. I'm sorry. I've got to keep my. I'll run that question in the back of my mind at the moment.
How do we going to help load them.
Yeah, there is a USB
Oh,
port
it's
here.
underneath, right.
I've got a better idea. Good. Yeah, I have a better idea. I'm gonna share this link. Yep, great. Anyone with the link can just do this. Edit, copy link. I'm gonna tiny URL it. Okay. Okay. This. In a moment, you'll get a really easy thing to that you can just key in and find it. So tinyurl.com, CARST. I'll see if that'll let me do that. CARST, all lowercase colon, CARST, all uppercase colon, and it's not available. Somebody's used that. So cast 2019 created. That's it. So just key in that. You don't have to put the HTTPs in. Put tinyurl.com/cast2019. You'll end up getting a file. You've done that. It's worked all right. Yeah, great. So just get that file. That's the guts of River's file. It'll be interesting. That has got Chinese translation in it. So I think she might have done her own translation for it. But I have a feeling that Qualtrics has an onboard translator, which is probably junk. But it's certainly River's, for whatever, however she did it, River managed to get Chinese content there. So this should be sitting, this AT3 blah 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 should be sitting in your downloads folder once you've done that tinyurl.cast2019. We're not specialist master's students, so just flick your hand up or give me some. You've got the file's working all right. Anybody, let's do it by exception. Anybody not got a file? Got that QSF file? Yeah. Let's just keep rolling on this because I am mindful of that finish time. Might not be 11:30. Might be 11:40. We go with that? Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to open it. You don't need to open it. I didn't tell you to open it. I told you to get it and make sure you can look at it. So you might have entered yourself into the. Now you've got the Spanish Inquisition's going to chase you. Really, all you need is to have it sitting there, because it's not. What I want us to do is starting Qualtrics again. You need to know where it is. So you need to know that it's sitting in your downloads folder, and just don't touch it, don't open it. Yep, that's sure. That's everybody. Microsoft, everyone's going to come at you and say this is dangerous. So just ignore them and get on with the job. And getting on with the job is creating a new project. So when you click on, we're back in Qualtrics again. When you click on projects, create project, and we create from existing. So this is if you want to send your Qualtrics file to somebody else, create from a file, and then you choose a QSF file. I'll go really fast because I know that time's on us. I've navigated to the downloads area, and there's that blah 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 BRM QSF. All right, you won't have the one because this is the second time I've downloaded it on this PC, but it's there. Hit the button, open, create project, and before you know it, you've got somebody else's project sitting in your Qualtrics area. That was for the people who can blast along with me. And now by exception, great. Looking great. You're doing other work. All over it.
Let's see. That is fantastic. Right, so there we are. River, bless her. She sent me a PM the other day,
but there she was. It's quite an acceptable survey. We flow through. She's got nominal data, multiple answers, brochures of wineries, got Chinese characters in there. I don't know if she's done it through a translation or not, but it's all looking sweet. She's saying, how interested are you in looking at this, all of that? Looks great. Okay, our next thing to do, you thought you'd got out of that cast, out of that finding stuff. I'm sorry about that, but no. I need you to bring down another file, which is actually about me telling you what the file is. Good. Tiny URL it. So exactly the same thing. Cast 2019A. All right. So our okay. So our next file, and the reason we want this next file, and this will open if you click on it, but it'll confuse you. So the next file that we want is the data. What we've got in Qualtrics is River's. We've got an empty survey in here. River is it's great. We could go out and get 400. Oh, thank you. You're saying get on with the job. Yeah, sorry, I'll do that. Yeah. It's like, hey, I can get this done if you just hit a button. So good on you. Yeah, thank you. So we roll through. She's got a good survey there, but she hasn't got 400. We don't have her 460 responses in. We can cheat. Let's get her 460 responses in. So when we click on our tiny URL, this will take me through and allow me to get her data. All right, this is a CSV file that confuses us with a preview. Forget it. We don't need to look at that. It's unhelpful. What we do need is, once we've downloaded it, we need to know where it's gone, which is just our downloads folder. All right, because we want to get our stuff in. This is really just housekeeping because I've got a few things that we do need to do. So now we know that it's sitting in the downloads folder, all there, looking sweet. We want to bring that in and put that into River's survey. The place to do that is up here under Data and Analysis in our survey. Under Data and Analysis, it'll come up and it'll say, you've got no data. No surprises, we've only just put in a survey that's empty. But on Export and Import, we can import data. All right, so let's do that. Import data, browse, find where it is, AT blah 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 blah, hit the open button, upload, and it says, do you want this? Say yes we do, and it'll take just a moment to import it, 469 responses, and then it'll come back. So under Data and Analysis, it'll come back and it'll probably have a bit of a hernia. It'll probably be saying, okay, the servers are in a server farm in Utah or something in the US. They're all grinding away. So nothing's showing at the moment. If you want to kick it along, say get with the program to Qualtrics, you look at that empty file and refresh account. And that kicks Qualtrics in the guts and says, and it comes back and says 469 recorded responses. You might not have your 469 showing black, and it might be showing 230 with grey in brackets. That's just because Qualtrics server farm is grinding away at it
469, 469. Nailing it, all over it. Great. Okay, so pretend now we've gone and we've, 2 weeks, begged, borrowed, stolen responses, whatever it is we've done to get 469 people to click on it and click through. All right, so we put our mind to that place, and so really all we're doing, I've shown you the launch procedures, and this is managing post-response. We've just got a little bit of this to do then. What we want to do is purge incompletes. So 469, I can tell you there's only 312 usable responses or 326 usable responses. So we want to purge and we want to tidy labels. I've given you an insight to begin with of the label tidying process. Is there any, you seeing a bug or are we? Yep. I've given you an insight to the label tidying process, and that is at the front where we say the edit export label. So that's not bad, but it still gives us some crap. All right. So, and this is a preview screen. It's sweet. If we want to choose the columns we're looking at, we can change what columns we're looking at. We can maybe put age and income in there, and it just gives us a preview of what it is. Other things we can do on tools is select page size down to 100. That's pretty neat. Okay, so, but what we want to do here, some of our data, I am breaking the rule, but I'm going to look at the back door of the data. This is what the data looks like on the CSV file. So, bang, 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 working, no problem. Oh, that person dropped out. The further we go down on River's data, oh, yep, oh, whoa, look, big blocks, 469. By the end, she's scraping the bottom of the barrel. There's a whole bunch of dropouts. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we really can't use. And so, that's good. She still kept squeezing the stone, got another couple there, got 3 there. That's all right, but there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that we can't use. And so, nice, quick and easy method, quick and dirty and wasteful method is to simply filter on the survey metadata, and the survey metadata is, where is it? Finished. That's what we want. If finished is false. All right. Filtered responses, 157. They just didn't finish. So you've got a gap there, though. I know that there's an extra 20 who got to the end of the survey and then didn't close their browser. All right. And so there's other tricks that we probably could do. So, but the quick and dirty way is to just select based on false. For those of us who are really got their heads on about this, we just pick the last question we're interested in rather than the false or true, than the finished flag. If we look at that last question, which, as I scroll back to it, that last question that was of interest to us, that's the have you got any further comments? But the last question was I3, so we could choose to filter on I3 and we'll squeeze out another 20 respondents. But the quick and dirty version, filter on false, page 1 of 2. If we do selected, we select, that only selects the 100 responses we've got on this page. But we don't want to do that. We want to select all 157. So we've selected all 157 and then we go, yep, delete them, get them out. There are ways of, if I was doing this with my real data, it's scary. So I would export my first ever file as a CSV, and you can do that, and then that's exactly what we did with River's data. So that you're not nervous, so that you're safe, I actually would export the survey as a QSF, export the raw data as a CSV,
re-import the survey saying, you know, basically virgin survey, re-import all the data and say 469 responses. Right, that's untouched. I'm never going to touch that, but that's all sitting there. And now you can be as rough as you like with this one. And then delete responses, cleansed, fine. No. Yeah, Qualtrics will take care of that for you. So you wouldn't if you outsource the data collection, and every commercial company does that. You know, when they put a quote together, it's $5,000 for recruitment. It's, you know, the whole thing, $25,000 job, $5,000 for recruitment, and the clients just roll over on that. Nobody says that you have to do your own recruiting in the commercial world, and Qualtrics will take care of that. PhDs sometimes MBA students can find funding, and that's fine. It really is a click of it's all money. Money changes everything, and so it's a flick of a switch. All of a sudden, you got your 500 responses. It's just you pay them, they turn up. No joke. 3 days later, it's yeah. They will suggest making changes to the survey, which are attention checkers, and so they are true professionals. They say, we suggest we put an attention checker in at this point, at that point, at this point, and those attention checkers simply are, this is an attention checker question, please answer 6 for this. And if they answer 6, they're in. If they don't answer 6, and maybe they're a bot or whatever, it just spits them out of the survey. Yeah, and you could do that for yourself in Qualtrics as well if you wanted.
This has changed even in 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't think that 3 years. No.
It is evolving. Some of it's evolving in a crappy way, but some of it, and I'm learning more about the platform too. So that's why that's partly it. Let's do the very last thing, okay? And two things. Reports, quick and dirty. If you hit the reports button, quick and dirty. Nice, easy, just scroll through, see whatever the hell's going on. It's genius, you know? There's your histograms. They'll give you a pretty quick idea of what's going on. And so that's neat. Really good for top-line results. I tell my students, just do, when you're doing demographics, look, River's helped us out. She's called a D button. I come from coastal city, rural China. And so really good for reporting on demographics, age breaks. So the reports button is good. And even back in data and analysis, it'll do pretty good quick and dirty crosstabs for you. So back under data and analysis, you can build some quick and dirty crosstabs where you do, in the case of River's data, she was create a new crosstab. You know what sources you use, and maybe we'll look at gender with sources, create a crosstab, and really good, quick and easy, quick and dirty, males and females, family and friends, travelling website, all of that sort of thing. We can put in row percents, and we can say that 47-53 split, 44-56, 50-50, 39-64. Wow, the website looks like women look on the website more than men. So quick and dirty crosstabs. SPSS does it better. This does it quicker and easier. Very last thing we want. So reports and that one thing, the data and analysis crosstabs, that can give us some real genius insight. Back to the back to the last thing, getting a clean SPSS file out. Save ourselves from junk. Welcome page. Welcome page. That's all we really want, right? We don't want all that text going in. Before visiting Australian wineries, we'd call it sources used, probably. Sources used, excellent. We go through and we just expected services. Oh, we don't want that. We want to do edit question label, expected services. Right, and so we go through, help ourselves in advance, so that when we get SPSS, it doesn't look like complete junk. There may be an export tag here. Some really nice options here, but I don't think there's an export tag change here. So you're going to get all of that Chinese character in those in these data labels, but we can live with that. So to get it out, we can either get it out as a CSV file, which is pretty cool. You know, you get, as I did on Excel, you get to eyeball your data, and sometimes that's neat. You get to see, yeah, there we are. You can create Excel tables and all of that old school stuff, but we use SPSS, don't we? We're clever, and so what we do here, data and analysis. It'll give you the options for export. CSV export, raw CSV export is just going to get your data out. This is what we do to save ourselves. We export our QSF Qualtrics file from the survey screen, and we export a CSV, and that gives us everything we need to be able to reinstate it anywhere on a trial account. If we move to Canada, the Uni of Adelaide takes all my passwords away, whatever. It's all sitting there. We can start it up again. If we want to eyeball the data better, we do the numeric values. Anyway, so that's enough of that. SPSS, let's get it out. Under the more options on SPSS, you're way better to untick the compressed data as a zip file, okay? So fewer options. So we've clicked on the, I don't even know what these are, but we've clicked on SPSS, download all fields, no problems, but the more options, you've probably default compressed data. We don't want that. And maybe there's good stuff in there, but I don't know. Yeah. No, we don't want that. This recoding stuff is not bad. Seen but unanswered questions. Maybe that's good. But anyway, I just normally go with the defaults there, and it'll jam out an SPSS file for me. We're about 5 minutes from finishing our session now. I'll hit the stop on that. You can email me. So we've just got a little bit of content left to do, but cullen.hable, you know all the rest of it for Uni Adelaide. Help me put a filter on your subject header and put in CARST on your subject header. I probably won't even read what you write as long as it's got that written on there, and I'll send you a URL of this recording. Easy as that. Yeah. So here we are. Open our SPSS file. Should have done that earlier. You could have told me to hit the SPSS button. It takes like a minute to load. Yeah, just email me. Put that in subject header. You want to compliment me? Tell me that you're going to tell the VC that I'm best thing since sliced. Well, a job. Tell the VC I'm the best thing since sliced bread. That's quite fine too. But reality has it. Let's just keep plugging along. Come on, SPSS, help me out here. You're killing me. Putting on a show and you're killing me. Anyway, so the only thing we need to do is cover over the question labels that that SPSS that we didn't tidy up perfectly. Good, that should be doing it for us now. I also get this panic when, yeah.
Speed of light at work.
Oh yeah.
Electrons.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I just, it's my stomping ground now. I mean, I'm still the only Einstein. I'm still only the Einstein 10% of our capabilities type of thing. But we get out here, I'm in comfort zone. Those of us who don't know SPSS, you will, or maybe you won't. But we've got, this is the data. This looks pretty much like the spreadsheet. There's our 312 responses. Scroll across. Those of us who don't know, one is a missing value. So this is where they said expected services, selected choice brochures of wineries. And that person said, yes, I expect to see brochures of wineries. This person didn't tick the box. I don't expect to see a restaurant's got, well, they just didn't tick it, so it was omitted. That's a missing value. Pro tip, you've got to turn those missing values into zeros to be able to do cool things like comparisons of means, all right? And that's just super quick. Recode into same variables. Recode missing into, when I get here, recode missing into 0, and everything's just button pressing. Your supervisor or the person next to you will know how to do that. So this just looks like a spreadsheet. And so for us to do this final bit of tidying, we've done the good stuff. We've done the purging. So we've exported a file that's right. And hasn't got any dead responses in it. See how we've recoded these because River coded our question numbers. Remember down here she went D1, D2, D3. Good on River. This is K1, this is wine knowledge. K2, K3R is a reverse coded wine knowledge. So how clever are we? That's wine involvement, that's good. So that's all good, but we've got all this junk that's come through now. Look at that. Better than we thought we had. Look at this. The ones we didn't cleanse. How important are the factors of a cellar door? But visiting a cellar door, you can rate the factors below, blah, 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 blah. Yuck. 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 Where do we get to real stuff? There we go. Reputation. So you're tidying up. If you don't do that front end, you've actually got to take all of this out. Reputation of the wine, take those characters out. Factors, important. Cellar door. Pro tip, we always want the thing that changes, we want to be in the front few characters so that when we look at it on screens, we're actually seeing stuff. I'll show you what I mean in a moment, but there it is. So that's what I call about tidying data labels. Good for us there. All I would do there, again, I would take out selected choice, X, hit this. I know it's a mess, but good. So this is how I would tidy up this. So that when we're actually running anything with analysis, this is lost on most of the specialist master's students. But when we do anything with analysis, B1.1 is what we want to look at. When we do anything with analysis, we look at this. Great for us, family and friends, but if we don't do that, we end up with all this junk up the front. See how nice it was when I put family and friends there? So if we took that out and made it actually travelling website, we'd get something that's more intuitive. And the only last thing, and this is the very last thing before we go, the data values, what they call values here. After we've done all that tidying up of the data labels, it's the values here. Often there's a bit of junk in there. Not that I'm saying Chinese words are junk, I'm just saying that I'm saying that this is just something that is worth tidying up. So we go in, take that out, change, okay, and then there we are. Now it means that we haven't got all that Chinese character there. 20-minute job, half an hour job tidying up your SPSS file, and then for all that mind-burning analysis that you need to do for the next 6 months, you've got something that's not messing with your head, it's not untidy, you're not tripping over the rug every time you open up your data file, it's all looking sweet and nice.
It goes all the way through to the final printout of the thesis, because the table,
Yeah.
or cross tab or whatever,
Yeah.
has already got correct axis labels.
Yeah.
So it's that, it goes through that far.
Right at this point, right from SPSS, from Qualtrics, even before you export your data, you're making your life better, get your variable names looking good. I'm not much of a one for putting raw SPSS output into a thesis, because it's got all that stuff about means and, you know, maximum value, minimum value. So most of the time I export SPSS output into maybe Excel, format it so it looks right, and then take out all the crap that's, you know, lower value, higher value, all of that stuff that just doesn't tell the story. But you're right, it just creates junk. And sure, SPSS does, I've never done it, but it creates graphics quite well, and you're right, the axes are going to have the right words on it rather than all your dummy codes, the 1s and 4s and all that. As I said, the dummy codes come into here, and there's the age. Here's what I meant about age dummy codes. See how 18 to 24, 25 to 34. This will have a value of 1, and then the words around it will be that. So if I look at that age variable when it exports, and that's that nature of that data. So she's exported age as a what part of China? Age. There we go. She's exported age as a dummy code. We can see that 1 under, 18 to 24, and then so we can see that we calculate an average of age. All we're going to get is a number that looks like 2.8 or 3.5 or whatever. It still has a meaning to us, but nowhere near as nice as average age 41.3. And that comes right back to the ratio data is the very best, but you sometimes don't get people to give you a number, and then they either give you a crap number or they drop out.
We should stop.
Yes, we should. Done.
Well done.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
It was a download, wasn't it? It was I'm clapping myself, but yeah, very good.
You've moved ahead since the last time we did it. You were there last time we did this, so you...
Was it the second time you've done this?
When did we do this?
Yeah, we did it down. We did it down in there in February, I reckon it was. Yeah.
Was it last year?
Yeah. And then, Chris, I got Qualtrics, I reckon in 2006, Chris got me to build the market research course. We split market research and project into a straight market research process, which was a third-year course, and that's where I had to teach myself Qualtrics in, not 2006, 2008. I had to teach myself Qualtrics then, but it really is a self-teach thing. The more you, and stats and SPSS, it is all just the more you do it. I've never been through a stats course, never been through a Qualtrics course. It's just from having to do the stuff that you learn. I've been around some pretty clever people that have helped me. That have said, no, you've got to do this, you've got to do that.
If there's any one piece of advice I'll give you with SPSS, the machine will run the operation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you've got anything worthwhile.
Yeah.
So you have to start there. You know what your scales are.
Yeah.
And
assumptions. And assumptions. There's some things you can't do. You can't calculate a chi-squared on a table that's got a whole bunch of expected values that are less than 5. There's a whole bunch of things that are wrong, and just because SPSS does it,
doesn't mean
somebody who knows what they're talking about will go, "This guy's an idiot. He can't do that. Like, send him home. He shouldn't be doing a PhD."
But connect the customer, the scale,
the method,
with the Qualtrics all the way through to the data set. Then you still run your analysis, and your analysis has to take all of that into account.
It's all one big story, right from the research problem, right through how that becomes research questions, how that becomes questionnaire items, how that becomes analysis methods, and then at the end of it, you get to write a conclusion which tells you what your answer to your research question is. But unless you've got that story, that chain of evidence, really, an examiner will look at it and say, weak chain of evidence. And the nice ones will say, have another go, I suggest you do this. And the not nice ones, well, that's what they do.
You just go back to that interval scale of ages, right? You try and think about running a regression, which you can do because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's easy to run a regression. But the slope across those is really somehow the slope across 0 through to 50. Somehow. But the data wasn't collected as the slope from 0 to 50. It was collected as like that. So
it's clumsy.
Putting that data in and using a regression, it'll work. But its true meaning is not what you would expect in a regression. There's another meaning hidden because of the data.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as precise, is it? It's like you've got a line, the levels are like that, and you don't know what's going on within that.
No, you don't.
You don't know, maybe there's 400 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
Well, nobody told me, because it's all just sitting in a variable that's all thrown together. Like when you put all the
number 3.
All the paint together, you get this funny brown colour, and it's number 3. Yeah.
All right. We should stop. Thank you very much.
Great. Really nice. Lots of fun. Yeah, lots of fun.